Are you ready to get your feet wet? Because this is the Knowledge Pool, hosted by Gathering in... Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's okay. I have a bit of a headache today, so we'll see how long I hang out today.
Yeah, Tams may bow out on us, but...
I'm here for the beginning.
We are here to talk about magic.
As always.
So, let's start talking about magic. What did you do in magic this week?
Not much, actually.
I think you mean on Friday you did something incredibly special.
I did?
No, you didn't. Everybody else did, not Tams.
Okay, good, because I'm like...
Because she had a accident with poison.
Oh my gosh, that's why I don't remember. Okay, so this sounds terrible.
Oh no.
Oh my goodness. So it was our Theros flashback draft. I've been so excited. And then Tams decided she would take her nail polish off because, you know, you're going to be playing with your hands. My nails look terrible. And a bottle of acetone hit the edge of my desk and splashed the entire brand new contents into my face, in my mouth, up my nose, in my eyes.
It sounds pleasant.
Oh, it was so... Don't swallow acetone, people. Take my word for this. It's so awful. And it wound up making my face all swell up, and I had to stay home. So
you're okay now, right?
I'm fine, and I'm trying to give up my acetone habit. So. On the upside, my nails looked really good for a time. Now they're all scrunched again, but
so
whatever.
Laura, how did you enjoy the Theros draft?
I thought it was fine. So I'll be honest, I could probably have drafted a really good black-green deck. But instead I decided to go green-white, just because there were cards that I wanted to play in green-white that were coming to me.
You could have splashed some of those black-green cards.
I didn't need to. I did consider it, so I was still picking up black cards when there weren't any other green-white cards.
Yeah.
But, you know, I ended up with like a fleece mainline. I had multiple auras from the green and white gods, the boon of whatever and stuff like that. And the deck turned out really, really good. I ended up going 2-2 only because I ended up having to mulligan about 3/4 of my first opening hands.
Oh, no.
I either ended up with 0 or 1 land or 6 or 7 lands.
Oh, that happened to me too.
And I tend to make a pretty quick mulligan decision on those.
Yeah.
And so I just ended up going down to 6 for most of my games. So I ended up winning the first 2 games and then just losing this last 2. So it was... I know the deck could have done better, but I still had a lot of fun.
That's the main thing.
Speaking of could have done better, I went black-red again. I'm blanking on the Rakdos again. Yes. So my first pick, I had a choice between Spear of Heliod and Grey Merchant of Asphodel.
So you went for the Spear of Heliod, right?
So I went for the Grey Merchant.
He took my choice.
Hoping that somebody else might... I think that's the better pick, just based on likelihood of being played.
Well, sure, but I still took a Hammer of Perforos first pick, not expecting to play it.
Yeah, well, I wasn't exactly expecting to play the Grey Merchant either.
But when you factor in the fact that Mono Black is such a strong archetype, and Gary is going to be played in every deck that you have a lot of black in, I totally...
It is. The problem, though, for Step, I think you were like 1 or 2 over from me.
Yeah.
The person I was passing to directly, for one of the packs, directly on my right, he also went black, and I ended up giving him at least 2 of the Grey Merchants.
Yeah, and the guy on my left also went black, but... I mean, there were heavy black packs. Mm-hmm. The second and third packs that I got past had 3 playable to 4 playable black cards.
Yeah.
I took the best one, but then I'm like, oh, I'm passing good stuff, you know? So I quickly audibled into black-red because red seemed open, and...
Your deck is gross.
I had 4 of the Deathbellow Raiders, which are... powerful minotaurs that can regenerate for black, so it seemed like a good place to be. Mm-hmm. And then I did end up running the Gary, even though I had 5 black permanents, but even by himself, he's fine.
Yeah.
Right?
He's fine.
Did you get any of the Ragemongers?
I got 1... Was it? No, not Rage...
That's
Warbringer.
I'm talking about the black black red.
That's the one from Born of the Gods.
Is that Born of the Gods? Probably.
I don't remember. I got the one that was in this set. I think it's the Warbringer. I got the one that gives all of
They're looking at me like I've ever played an aggressive deck in my life.
Yeah.
That gives all of your...
Minotaurs +2/+0 and trample if they don't already have it.
Oh, that one's so good.
Yeah. You're talking about the one who makes them cheaper. Yeah, that's not
that's
from
in
this
Yeah,
set.
that's in Born.
But, yeah, Minotaurs is fun.
I love Minotaurs.
And then I went 1-2 drop because I also wasn't feeling great. And for some reason, I just couldn't get a keepable hand.
Yeah.
That's frustrating when that happens.
I also made a bad choice during the draft.
What?
I took an on-color mythic instead of a money card, which would have actually been good in my deck.
Yeah.
So I took Underworld Cerberus, which is super flavorful. It is a 6/6 for, I think, 6 or 7, and cards in the graveyard can't be accessed, basically, while he's on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he dies, you return all creatures from all graveyards to the battlefield.
Ooh.
So,
and you took him because you've never had a chance to play with him, right?
I have never been able to play with him. I thought he was a super cool card, and I took that over Thoughtseize, which probably would have been just as good in my deck. Like, a turn 1 Thoughtseize in an aggressive deck is very good.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a 1-drop, and I had, I think, 1 playable 1-drop.
Sure.
But ended up having fun, at least.
Which is important.
Mm-hmm. The other thing we did in Magic, but we went to the dollar store for the household stuff, and we always check out their collectible card section. They have one, and they always have the 15 pack of the random Magic cards, and we often get them and do pack wars.
Okay, I want to just cut in here because we know full well that the value on the 15 card random repacks is not worth it, but if you have $3 to spend, I highly recommend that you pick one up, well, 2, and have a pack war with a friend, because they have cards from whatever set, or maybe some from the dual decks or whatever, and they make awesome pack wars.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah.
That was my point. We had a pack war with them. But they also, we're such suckers, but we're going to open it for the channel. So they now have packs of 100 cards packaged, and you can't see them.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to open that for the channel and see what's in it, because
it's probably not worth the, $4?
No, but here's the thing. We like to collect. We're completionists. We like to get all the sets. So it'll be, even if it fills in, 7 or 8 slots from the common and uncommon. From sets we don't have the stuff, that's fine. And we get the fun of playing with them. And
yeah, I'm going to have to figure out some sort of format to play with those packs, because if it's 100 cards, that's 50 each. We could maybe, I don't know, shuffle it all together and do a Wizard's Tower.
I was just thinking mini Wizard's Tower or something.
Maybe that might be interesting.
Yeah, so that's what else did we do?
Laura also went and did Cube.
How'd it go?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. We ended up having 12 people, so we did 2 pods of 6, which is not amazing, but we ended up doing 4 packs each, so it works out to the same number of cards.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it was interesting. This will shock everybody. I went green-white.
Really?
Interesting.
I know. I know. It's not a good look on me. Well, just I opened what's the format, a 2 green nature or something, where you get to sack a green creature and go get a green creature. And
yeah, I can't think of it.
Yeah, and so I was like, I'll go green. Fortunately, I was passing to Sean, who then got a Dragas Tree Speaker, and was like, I'll go green. Which is fine. It just ended up that we together would have had an amazing green ramp deck. But look, I'm a sucker for like the 4, 5, 6 double white mana angels.
Yeah.
So I sometimes can't stop myself from playing them. So I went green-white, green for the ramp and for hexproof, which I find to be actually very valuable in Cube. So I ended up with like Troll Ascetic and Thrun, and it just makes it hard for your opponent to mess you up. I ended up playing against a mono white deck from across the table who ended up with a handful of removal that he just couldn't use because he couldn't target my stuff.
Nice.
I got a Umezawa's Jite. Opened that up in pack 3. That's one of my favoriteest cards to play in Cube. Although, don't get me wrong, I have about 20 favoriteest cards to play in Cube, so I love Cube.
How many of them are blue?
Not even that many. All of them, except for a couple, are very expensive and bomby. Look, I am a go big player at heart. So, but the Jite is very good in a creature heavy deck, which is definitely what I was running. So, again, I had kind of, I'll call them mana issues in that my opening hands usually ended up with 0 or 1 or 6 or 7 lands, which is again weird because I was just running 17 lands and I had a couple of mana dorks and that was about it. Like, it was just a normal curve out green-white deck.
Yeah, I've been having variance issues recently, like the same. Like in the draft deck, I was running 17 land. I thought, is this a 16 land deck? No, I'll run 17 land. And I couldn't get my 3rd, 4th, 5th land until the very end of the games.
Oh, and I also had, as a lovely finisher, it's Natural Order. Is Natural the green Order, sorcery card I was thinking of. So I had as targets, I had Primeval Titan. I had Woodfall Primus.
Ooh.
And I had Craterhoof Behemoth.
Nice.
I hoofed at least one person out.
So how many creatures did you have when you cast your Craterhoof?
I had 7.
Nice.
And the thing is that I hit him for 40 odd damage, but he had enough power and blockers, and he had also been gaining life through that stupid 1/6 white wall that gains you life every end step.
Oh yeah.
So he actually wasn't going to die, but I was already at 20. I was going to gain 11 life with my Archangel of Thune, and put a counter on all my creatures, and then I would still have all my board, and all of his stuff would be dead, and he had no cards in hand. So it ended the game.
Yeah, it's basically an overrun. Even if you survive the overrun, you're...
Yeah, he was not gonna... Yeah. There's nothing he could do the next turn. So, yeah, it was fun. I love Cube. It was interesting because a lot of the people were new to the store, or at least new to me, because I think they're mostly there for Modern, which is not an event I usually attend. So
that's interesting. It would make sense that Modern players would come in and check out the Cube. It's a lot of Modern cards in the Cube.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
And then I think you guys did a couple of drafts as well online?
We did. We did one that we didn't actually record because sometimes we just like to,
Oh my god, like draft cards?
Yeah.
For fun?
I'm kind of glad we didn't record it because it didn't go so well. But the one we did record was, well, it was alright. I still contend that a good aggro deck can do wonders in the Modern Masters format when everyone's trying to dirtle around. The problem is that with leagues on MitGo, you're always up against that same white-blue deck.
Yep.
So, I don't...
It does seem to be one of the more commonly drafted ones, either blue-white or blue-white-black.
Black, yeah. Or blue-white-green, like the Bant route. I mean, it's getting to the point where I don't really want to play MitGo because I don't get the varied experience that I do from a paper draft.
Yeah, because in paper draft, people, or at least the people we tend to play with, like, usually you'll know what the best deck is, but who wants to win? There's no prize support. Let's just play for fun, or put together what I think will be the best deck. Or
or in a...
I opened a sweet bomber, let me just force it.
In an 8-player... we've got a cat in the way of the microphone.
Wow. In
an 8-player pod, only 2 people can have that deck.
Sure.
Right? So you're bound to come up against something else.
But even when we draft... Because we drafted Modern Masters, 4 times in paper?
Yep.
And I saw many Esper cards just wheeling because nobody particularly wanted to build the deck.
Yeah.
Because, again, everybody has their likes and dislikes, and nobody opened anything that put them in those colors.
So it's going up, tonight on the channel on Gathering Information.
Tonight being Wednesday.
Yep. And then next week I think we'll be back to Aether Revolt, just to check
say goodbye.
Again. Yeah, say goodbye before Amonkhet comes out, because that's very soon.
Yeah, the pre-release is next weekend, so the weekend after Easter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's looking to be pretty fun.
You have any plans for Easter?
Yes, I am going to... There's an arts and crafts fair, basically, in town that I'm going to check out on Friday, and then going to relatives over the weekend.
I, too, am going out of town for the weekend. And I don't think there'll be much magic in my future this weekend.
Right.
Especially because there's no draft on Friday.
Yeah, the shops are closed, at least in Canada, for Good Friday.
Where am I going to get my fix? I guess maybe I'll have to draft Mikko.
Yeah, you'll have to do it online.
Maybe I'll play some Momir tonight and work in some magic that way.
Yeah, that's certainly an option.
But next week is going to be the pre-release, and there's a special draft at the shop.
Yeah, we usually do a rainbow draft at the shop.
Right. The sort of grab bag.
Yeah, let's dump a bunch of packs from all different sets into a bag. Everybody gets 3 of them. Who knows what you'll get.
I don't remember. Have you said how you feel about those?
Yeah, I've done a few of them. I don't mind them. I think they're kind of similar to Cube, and just in the sheer randomness of it. You don't know what packs you're going to open. You don't know what packs everybody else is going to be opening. It leads to some very interesting thought processes because, all of the archetypes are mixed up, and there's varying amounts of tricolor lands and guild gates going around for Ravnica and stuff like that. So, it really leads to a lot of interesting on-the-fly card evaluation, specifically how it relates to the cards that you've already drafted. Because cards that might have been terrible if you're drafting 3 of that particular set, sometimes they can be really good in whatever trash deck you're drafting.
I might want to try it this time because Kaladesh has some really... Kaladesh is it's not as synergistic as,
Shadows,
sure. But it's got some very, what's the word? Mechanics that care about themselves.
Yeah, parasitic
mechanics. So it'll be interesting trying to find ways to make those work with other mechanics from other sets.
Yeah.
Huh. I'm gonna have to check that out if I can.
I basically just need you guys to finish your Shadows over Innistrad Cube, because every time we mention that set, I'm like, God, I would love to just draft it one more time.
Well, I don't intend to have that one ready until it rotates out of Standard.
Oh, that's sad. I don't know why I like that set so much, but I do. It's fun to play.
It's because Simic is a...
I almost always end up green-black, because nobody else goes hardcore into the Delirium deck, and I am more than willing to just, throw my hat in the pool and jump in after it.
You can go Simic in that deck, too, or green-blue.
Yeah, with the Clues Matters and just value.
Or I guess Sultai, if you want the full wedge.
Well, a lot of times you would end up green-black splashing blue for the ongoing investigations and a couple of other Clues Matters cards from blue.
I wish I had gotten to draft that set more. Actually, maybe we should do that on Mitgo this week.
Oh, can you?
That'd be fun. Well, I think it's still on there.
Oh, cool.
Eldritch Moon is. I don't know about Shadows.
Eldritch Moon's still good.
Yeah, so maybe we'll do that, because I've drafted it one time.
Yeah, it's very fun.
I
appreciate the fact that there are different directions you can go with each color, but if you're willing to jump in for the synergy-based decks, they're there for you.
Mm-hmm. So, we're in the final week of the spoilers for Amonkhet.
Yep.
Is there anything from spoilers this week that you wanted to talk about?
No. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so, yeah, there are definitely some interesting cards that they've come out with. I think probably the most startling was the new Nissa Planeswalker card, for 2 reasons. First of all, she's now a multicolored Planeswalker instead of mono green.
Which is interesting.
Yes. Second of all, she is a Planeswalker with X in the mana cost and an X irrelevant abilities in the body of the text.
Yeah. Now, I think there's been a Planeswalker with an X ability. Liliana's had an X ability.
There are Planeswalkers that have, minus X and stuff like that, but there's not too many that are you can put X counters on it, and then, her 0, the number of X matters.
Yeah. It's usually a minus X to basically kill something.
Yeah, or that one Gideon where it's he becomes a whatever, where whatever is the number of loyalty counters.
Right. But that's dependent on the power of the biggest creature you control or something?
No, I think it's the number of creatures opponent controls.
But it's not something you get to choose.
Yeah, exactly. You might have some control over it, but with Nissa, you can specifically say, I want her to have 6 loyalty counters, so I will cast her for 6 green blue. Done.
Yeah. Interesting. I like it. It's interesting design space. I guess it feels like a Nissa. Like, it feels like if Nissa went and grabbed some blue mana, that's what she'd do with it.
I appreciate the flexibility. Like, even if you're just playing her on 3, because as we all know, 3 mana planeswalkers tend to be extremely good.
Yes.
If you put her on 3 and then you just plus her once, her plus ability is a +2, so she is then at 3. So it's almost the same as getting a 3 loyalty planeswalker for 3.
It's the way I see it going. Like,
because her 0 ability says that you can put either a land or a creature card, I think, or a creature or permanent with converted mana cost X, where X is a number of loyalty. X or less, where X is a number of loyalty.
Let me just pull it up. But
but it just means that, if you have a low to the curve, or a low to the ground curve in your deck, you can choose to start her off pretty quick, and then you'll most likely be able to put something onto the battlefield that turn if you 0 her. But if you plus her, you just scry 2, which is almost the same as drawing a card.
Yeah. Creature card. Yeah.
Okay.
Land or creature card.
Land or creature card.
So it's a lot like green X sorceries that we've seen.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Go grab a creature from your deck.
Or even Nissa's Revelation. Look at the top X cards. Put all the land cards you see onto the battlefield.
Right. It's kind of... Well, it's a lot of value.
Oh, yeah.
For 3 mana, that represents a lot of value.
Like, in Limited, she's just kind of a bomb slam dunk. Like.
And I think it is going to be, like, a 3 mana or however much mana you have lying around. Yeah. But I wouldn't wait to play her.
Well,
unless I had a really good 3-drop.
Right. I think the thing is that, I mean, her -6 ability, which is her quotations ultimate, because it's not really an ultimate, in my opinion, because it just makes 2 of your lands 5/5 flyers until end of turn.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's also easier to get her up to 6 than it is for any other planeswalker, because you can just cast her and immediately have 6 loyalty on it.
Yeah.
If it's late game,
I mean, if it's late game, that could represent a...
Yeah, it absolutely can just finish the game. It's 10 power in the air. Like, surprise. So, it certainly can finish the game. Just it's not an emblem. It's not a permanent effect like a lot of Planeswalkers' ultimates are. So, it kind of reminds me of Vraska's, the -whatever, put 3 assassins onto the battlefield.
With Death Touch.
Yeah, and if they hit your opponent, they just lose the game.
Yeah. Yeah, It's definitely interesting. Mm-hmm. I think... Okay, so there's 3 Planeswalkers in the set.
So far?
Oh, well, okay. I think...
Probably
there
that's
are 3 Planeswalkers in the set. What's missing? Red? Red will probably be in the next set. They usually do that.
Yeah, they usually split them up.
They're all members of the Gatewatch.
Yes. There's Nissa, Gideon, and Liliana.
They're all fairly interesting, though. I mean, they all do something new.
Or better.
New or better, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm more interested story-wise in why Nissa is suddenly using blue mana. I mean, from her revised story,
yes.
She's a master of all colors of magic. She just prefers green. So we could have seen this before, but haven't.
Right.
But I think it's interesting to think they're going to need a new flagship green planeswalker. Or maybe bring back one of the old ones. Like, Garruk could... They could... the Gatewatch could go all Avengers and go tracking down the Hulk and try to tame him.
Or, it could just be a reflection of the fact that they are now on a new planet. She's getting exposure to new powerful beings in the gods, and, maybe things will happen and she'll go back to being mono green.
And she chose the bird one to idolize?
Look, wouldn't you? 7 cards in hand. You can draw cards every turn. That's all I'm saying.
I think if there was one of the gods that currently I would rank as my favorite, it's the mono green one.
Which we'll get to in one sec. I just also wanted to mention briefly that there does seem to be a Simic deck in... Like, there are other gold cards that are green-blue.
Oh, yeah.
And,
what is it? Bounty of the Luxa?
Yeah, the rare enchantment where you can either draw a card or you get mana floating. That's pretty sweet. And
blue, green, colorless. So 3 mana for free every other turn, and a card every other turn.
yes.
So that, yeah.
So it could just be that, she sees this world and these bountiful areas, and, it swayed her over to the blue side a little bit.
It's interesting because, okay, so we've got... I don't think I want to talk about the Minotaurs just yet, but we've got a Simic deck looking like it's coming together.
Yep.
We've got an Orzhov deck looking like it's coming together.
The black-white one.
Yep. There's possibly a red-black aggressive deck.
There seems to be gold cards for that, and blue-red.
And blue-red? The
spells matter.
Definitely there's going to be some sort of spells matter deck.
Yeah.
And also there is a red-green
this card looks
creature,
sweet.
but it's got a white activate ability.
It does. So is it supposed to be a 2-color format or a 3-color format or 2 and a splash? I think it might be 2 and a splash because it looks like there could be a white-black / white-blue. Maybe one of those is...
I think it's going to end up being 2 and a splash, especially when we get to Hour of Devastation, because we're all expecting to see Nicol Bolas.
Some of us are very much looking forward to the potential, yeah.
And that's going to be
it's 3 colors.
a shard-based system.
Yeah.
But I think in Limited, again, they're not going to go like full-on multicolor. I think it's going to be 2 and a splash.
Sure.
So it'll be like black, red, splash, blue will be maybe your Nicol Bolas deck. Or, no, more likely blue, red, splash, black.
Yes.
For the Nicol Bolas deck.
But I don't know, it's interesting to think about for sealed. I love playing sealed, and usually you can get away with being a bit greedier than you can in draft. And there look to be some very powerful cards, and with the rare lands that are cyclers, there's probably a chance if you open any kind of fixing that you could end up going 2 and a splash, or maybe even a full 3, depending on what it is.
Maybe.
So that'll be something to look forward to.
We haven't seen any common or uncommon fixing yet.
Well, yet.
Actually, let me just look at the lower down on the... Oh, I don't have it sorted by number. Oh, well.
Oh, no.
I was trying to sneak in and see if there were more lands coming.
I think also the fact that since you pointed to them on the website here, I think the fact that the monuments are... I mean, they're uncommon, they're colorless, and they reward spreading your wings out a little bit. Because it makes everything cheaper, but it also does give you benefits, regardless of the color of creature that you're casting.
The monuments?
Yeah.
They only give you...
No, they only give you the discount on the color of the creature, but, the green monument doesn't care if you're casting a green creature or a black creature.
Oh, that's
fair.
It
still gives you the benefit. So... if you're running a couple of monuments, it might encourage you just to get the discount on multiple colors, maybe.
That's interesting. All right, yeah, maybe. What do you think about the monuments? Do you think they're playable?
I think some of them are very good. Like, the green one does exactly what you want green to be doing. I will make your stuff bigger and give it trample. Great!
Oh, yeah, I guess if you have the monument with the god, that's going to be... We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
And like the black one, getting your black creatures a bit cheaper and draining your opponent when you cast a creature, which will be most of the time. Things like that. It does add up. So I think that they're definitely playable. Obviously, how good will depend on your deck, as is true of every card ever. But it looks to be an interesting design.
Okay, so it looks by the spoiler like there's at least an uncommon cycle of lands that they've yet to spoil, which we were probably expecting.
Yeah, and since we're talking about lands, did you want to mention the fact that we have now deserts?
Yeah, okay. Well, it's not a basic. I'll mention that.
Sure.
So it's a new non-basic land type. They spoiled... It's a common... Wow. Okay, Sun-Scorched Desert is a land desert. It taps for colorless, but when it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target player.
Now, from what I recall of our discussions, you and I have very different opinions about this. For Limited, specifically.
For Limited, I think it's meh.
Okay. Because I
don't think it's actively bad.
I would almost never play this card.
I would definitely put one in a monocolored deck.
Okay, sure. In a monocolored deck, you're fine.
It's a little better than, I don't remember what it was called,
but
Angel's Refuge.
We were just talking about how we think this is going to be a multicolored set. How often are you going to be running monocolored?
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
Unless there is any other desert synergy that makes this card more acceptable in that it, desert cards tap for any color mana or something like that.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
That could be kind of sweet. And at that point, sure, you're golden. But
I think the point of deserts, though, is that they're kind of like wastes. They're barren. So okay. I think they're all going to tap for colorless.
Makes sense.
I think there are going to be more than one desert
card. I agree, too, because we have had at least one card refer to desert cards.
Yeah.
Not this specific desert card. So it seems like there's more to come. Especially because they still haven't spoiled the majority of the commons and uncommons.
Yeah. It could be just a formatting thing, like if they want more for the next set.
Or
which
even
I think there will definitely be more deserts in the next set, but there might be more coming. We don't know.
That's true. We'll have to wait and Friday. See anxiously.
But yeah, there was a land from I don't know what set that you gain 1 life when it enters the battlefield.
There's that whole cycle of dual lands.
No, I just mean it was it tapped for colorless.
Hallowed Fountain, you gain 2 life.
Is it Hallowed? I thought Hallowed Fountain was one of the shocks. Whatever it was.
Sure.
Sacred Fountain? Whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
But, I mean, that's actively bad.
Because
damaging your mana pool or your color pool for no good reason. Whereas dealing 1 damage to your opponent is...
Nah. Yeah. So moving on to Steb's favorite card, Ever Spoiled Ever.
Okay. So... Not ever spoiled ever, but I'm kind of in love with the Green God.
Tell us all about...
Most of the green rares, to be honest. I think green looks amazing.
Green, as usual, looks very strong.
And by the way, if I do open green mythics or rares, I'm probably going to try to grab mono green in a draft. And see how it goes.
So tell us all about the Green God, Step.
Alright. Uh-oh. Where'd it go?
I don't know. There it is.
So, Ronas, the Indomitable, is 2 and a green for a 5/5.
That's pretty big.
With Death Touch and Indestructible.
That's pretty big.
Now, what we know about the God cycle is that apparently gods can't attack or block unless you have some sort of thing.
Or don't have something in the case of red.
Right. And that's what they decided was the key element from the Theros gods. Like, they weren't creatures unless, that means they can't attack or block. That's what creatures do.
Well, it also means, with the Theros ones, that they're not exposed to creature-based removal.
Right.
When they're not creatures.
So these ones are, but they're indestructible, so that makes them a little
Well, except
better.
The -1/-1 counters do kill them.
Well, that's true.
And exile effects.
Now, have we seen anything that places -1/-1 counters directly on your opponent's stuff?
I don't know, but I'm sure it's coming.
Yeah, it probably is. Okay, so, anyway, he can't attack or block unless you have another creature with power 4 or greater.
In green.
In green.
Yeah, it seems pretty likely to have one of those guys lying around.
Now, he's a 3-drop, so that probably won't happen the turn he comes down.
Well,
because,
sure.
You play a 2/2 or whatever.
Yeah.
But the very next turn, you have 3 mana. So he has this ability where, for 2 and a green, which is
his casting cost,
cost, you can give another target creature +2/+0 and trample until end of turn.
And then attack with both your now creature with power 4 or greater and trample and your 5/5 Death Touch on turn 4.
If you play a random bear,
yes,
and then Ronas. Turn 4, you can be attacking for 9 with trample and Death Touch. I mean, you're going to get through with some damage.
Seems pretty good. Or you can just play a 4-drop that has power 4 or greater.
Yeah.
And then swing in with your 5/5 Death Touch and your 2/2 or whatever if your opponent hasn't played something that blocks it profitably.
Yup.
So, seems pretty good. He, so far, definitely seems like the best of the gods to me.
Yeah, I mean, the red one I think is well placed in the red deck.
Red one does what red wants to do.
But I think in a vacuum, the green one is definitely the strongest.
It's very good.
Although the white one is also quite good.
So what is the white one?
So the white one, the Cat God.
It has so it is a 4 mana, 3 and a white for a 3/6, which sounds low until you realize that it also has double strike.
Yeah, so Oketra the True is a basically 6/6 for 4.
Not bad, not bad.
Legendary creature god, double strike indestructible, so she can't attack or block unless you have at least 3 other creatures, which she's in white.
Well,
so,
we haven't seen too many like token generators yet.
We've seen
which we talked about last week too.
We've seen the fact that a lot of your creatures can come back from the graveyard. Like,
sure,
Embalm is white is the Embalm color.
But so it'll mostly depend on how low of the curve you're able to put together for your deck. Like if you can go 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, Oketra, turn 5, I just kill you.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
She also has an ability that's highly relevant for 3 and a white, which is her casting cost.
Yes.
You get a 1/1 white warrior creature token with vigilance,
which then counts as a creature.
Yeah.
To let her attack.
So 1/1s with vigilance for 4 aren't, I don't know,
yeah,
great.
They're not great, but unless you have other token synergies going around. Like, say, in a white-black deck, where you can then sacrifice him to the black god to drain your opponent and scry.
I can see this one working well in Constructed, and by Constructed I don't necessarily mean Standard, but she definitely fit into my, I can't remember his name, the white dude from Innistrad who was originally in M13.
I don't know, describe him. Hummabar.
Yeah, Hummabar. He looks like me. Audric.
Oh,
thank you.
Audric, sure.
In my Audric commander deck that I haven't put together yet.
Right, the theoretical, hypothetical. Sure.
Because she seems... honestly, she seems better than Heliod. Which I never really liked.
Pretty good. Plus, I mean, she may not have creature type cat listed on there, but I think we all know that
she doesn't make cat warriors.
I think it's interesting that none of the gods actually have a creature type, despite the fact that they all obviously resemble specific animals.
They're
I heard one person speculate that it's just because on the invocation cards they could not fit the word with all the junk hieroglyphics that are on either side of it.
I don't.
And the large borders.
I think it's more a case of flavor being like planeswalkers are not creatures because they're planeswalkers, while gods don't have subtypes because they're gods. You know, once you become a god, you're no longer a human or a snake or whatever.
Are you not?
Xenagos wasn't a satyr. He was a legendary enchantment creature.
Well, he was an enchantment creature. Where else, you don't have room on that type either to
but
satyr.
That set the precedent. He was a legendary enchantment creature god. He was not a satyr. Of course, he was also not a satyr when he was a planeswalker, so... But I think that, I don't know, could be serving two masters there.
Yeah. So, anyways.
I like it because it means that they're no longer, like, mortal creatures. They are what they are.
Well, I just think it's interesting that the first two gods were not amazing. Like, they were fine. Mm-hmm. But the other three seem to be decent.
You like the black one?
Not really. But that's just because I can't imagine myself playing any deck that would run it.
That's fair.
So I'm sure that if you were Tams and you ran a disgusting black-red, will steal your stuff and then sacrifice it for my benefit monster
deck,
deck,
a thumbs up.
Then that's probably exactly what you're looking for.
Totally what I'm looking for.
So black-white is one of my favorite two-color combinations.
Yeah.
And I haven't been happy playing a black-white deck since Gatecrash.
Sure.
Because I loved Extort, but...
Extort's a very fun mechanic. I've played it several times in, like, Rainbow Drafts and stuff. It's strong. It's
flavorful, it's versatile, it's just very good. It's a lot like the Exalted mechanic in a way.
Sure, which I also quite like from when I've played in Cube
and was also in black-white when they brought it back, although it was originally in Bant, and that's...
Yeah, like the Noble Hierarch.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to being black-white or green in this set.
I'm just looking forward to pre-release, man. I love pre-releases. If you don't go to pre-releases, or you're intimidated about getting into Magic, or you think that you don't know what you're doing and you're afraid that you're going to look like an idiot, forget it and go to a pre-release.
Pre-releases are the place to go and do that.
They are the place to go in and learn how to play the game and do so in an incredibly low-pressure environment with people who are just there to have fun, and they don't have any other idea what's going on because nobody's played with the cards yet. And
if you can, go to a large pre-release.
Oh, yeah.
The one that we go to has 70 people. Sometimes. And it's amazing. I mean, it's a long day. If
6 rounds.
If you don't feel like doing 6 rounds, you might want to, drop and, tell them that you're dropping after 3 or 4. But it's so amazing going and seeing people play Magic who don't come out to competitive events except for the pre-release.
Right.
Like, that's where you fit right in if you don't play Magic in stores.
Like, right? I started playing Magic just a couple weeks before the Origins pre-release, so I showed up at the Origins pre-release having very limited experience, we'll say, in Limited, and never having done Sealed. I had drafted twice.
Okay.
I'd never done Sealed. I had played Standard once, I think, but I already knew a couple of people from the store, so I just sat down with the ones that I recognized and knew would be pretty friendly, and I said, does this look like I'm doing dumb things with my deck? And they helped me put together a smashy red-green deck, which is exactly what you wanted in Magic Origins. And I ended up coming in 4th.
Nice.
So, despite not really knowing what I was doing, just because in a pre-release, anything can happen.
Yep. There are certain things that are better and certain things that are worse, like playing all of your removal that you can in a pre-release is better than trying to be the most aggressive or the most controlling. Just playing all your good cards is not a bad idea as long as you're not stretching your mana base too far.
Right. So I think we'll talk a bit more about pre-releases next week in preparation for the pre-release.
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. I'm sure Tams will have things to weigh in on that too.
I'm sure. Was there anything else about the spoilers we wanted to talk about?
No, I think we covered... Well, okay. So, there is one thing.
What is the one thing?
There are some pretty awesome Minotaurs in this set, and I am completely conflicted about that.
Is this because secretly, despite you saying that you're a mid-range player, you love black-red Minotaurs?
I do love black-red Minotaurs. I love going whole hog in anything. So if I'm going to do an aggressive deck, it's going to be red-green, or it's going to be black-red, or it's going to be mono-red.
No red-white?
Maybe. But I love black-red Minotaurs in Theros.
Yes.
That's where Minotaurs belong.
Are you saying that Minotaurs are not a part of the Egyptian mythology, Step?
Yes. Yes, I'm saying exactly that. I mean, if they were, I don't know, cat snakes? We've already seen a cat snake. Couldn't they be cat snakes?
You think there are a lot of cat snakes running around ancient Egypt?
Okay, why didn't they just make them jackal warriors? Now, to be fair, there were no jackals in Egypt. They were probably wolves, and Anubis should have a wolf head, not a jackal head. But there are jackals in the set, and still no jackal pup. Mark Rosewater, I'm looking at you. But there are Minotaurs in this set, and they look sweet.
But they don't belong?
They don't belong.
According to Mist of Orthos?
But they still look sweet. In fact, there is a legendary Minotaur commander, lord, awesome.
Yes.
So I'm going to try to find him real quick.
So yeah, I understand your concerns about, like, we'll say crossing the streams.
Yeah.
Which is basically what's happened here. But on the other hand, I mean, this is not actually ancient Egypt, and Minotaurs are a well-established tribe in Magic.
That is true. Minotaurs have been around since Alpha, and I mean, they are Magic.
Yeah, so I think they get a bit of creative license here just because in generic fantasy world that is Magic.
I don't necessarily mind them, except that there was already a tribe for black-red in this set, and it was jackals.
Mm-hmm. Well, not yet. I mean, we've seen a couple jackals in red and black.
5 or 6. And some of those are common.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything that's splashy or rare or anything.
Fair enough.
Or dual-colored.
Okay, so Nihab the Worthy, and that's interesting too, because apparently he is a worthy.
Yes. He must have won a Games Day.
He must have won the trials of Nicol McBolus.
You better not say that to his face.
He's 1 black-red for a legendary creature, Minotaur Warrior. He is a 2/2 with first strike.
Sounds terrible.
Other creatures you control, other Minotaurs you control have first strike. And as long as there are 1 or fewer cards in your hand, Minotaurs you control get +2/+0. Whenever Nihab the Worthy deals combat damage to a player, each player discards a card.
Which, if you have 1 or fewer cards in your hand, probably you don't really care about. I think it's interesting that it does seem that being hellbent or having very few cards in hand seems to be a red-black mechanic of the set. Whereas having overflowing hands seems to be the blue-green.
Yeah, blue-green. So Hellbent is the name given to playing with an empty hand. Mm-hmm. And that comes from the original Rakdos mechanic from Ravnica.
Yeah.
It's funny because red-black are control-y colors in Cube. Or in Eternal formats. Like, they have the best removal. So red-black tends to be a control deck. But in Magic Mythos, they're supposed to be the aggressive colors because it's all about passion and self-drive.
And usually when you draft them in a regular set, they're usually really aggressive.
That's because they try to push the mechanics that way, even though the colors, like, some of the mechanics want to do something else.
Right.
It's fun to try to figure out all of the motivations. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I like this guy. If he's a Minotaur tribal commander, I don't really like that he's so heavily Egyptian flavored, but I'm still...
Is he heavily Egyptian flavored?
Well, he's
not really. Like, the artwork's not particularly Egyptian, and the name is not particularly Egyptian.
I guess he could go, well, alright, you're turning me around on him.
See?
Fair enough.
You just need an open mind.
Now that I'm looking at all of the stuff, I think I want to draft everything in this set. So.
Yeah, especially the rares and mythics, because they all seem pretty sweet.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of interesting build me arounds, which, like I said, I cannot wait for Sealed, because a lot of times Sealed is where you get to do that.
And outside of a couple of the weird enchantments, I haven't seen any real duds.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, that could just be the order in which they're releasing things, because they are focusing more on the splashier rares and mythics and things, but we'll see how it goes.
Alright. So, wow, we ate up a bunch of time there.
Whoops. Shouldn't get us chatting. Boy, we'll go forever. So
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that one thing we wanted to talk about, it's actually something that I heard mentioned and have noticed myself. There was a format for, we'll call it the last, 6 months or so?
Yeah.
Called what is it called? Frontier, thank you. Which is basically made up of everything for the last few years worth of Magic.
It's everything with the new card frame.
Yeah, from what, like M15 or something?
M15 on, yep.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be like the new modern. So it doesn't go back as far, but it's also not as expensive, etc. And it was being pushed by a couple of the gaming shops, which of course led the cynical to believe that they were just trying to dump their stock of Cons and Dragons cards after they rotated out. Sure. But it was not like super big, especially not in our area. I don't think I saw anybody really trying to get it going.
A couple of people were trying to get it going, but no one really had any interest, and so it never caught on.
Right, but in Toronto, I think it was, because Face to Face was one of the ones that was trying to push it. Yep. And for the last month or so, like basically ever since the new Modern Master set came out, it's kind of died off a little bit. And so...
You mean nobody's talking about it?
Nobody's talking about it, for sure. There don't seem to be quite as many events, things like that, which could just be because people who wanted to play it were hoping to play with modern-type cards, and that was just the cheapest way they could do it. But now that a lot of the modern cards have seen a reprint and the cost is a bit reduced...
Well, there's that, and there's also the fact that a lot of the Frontier decks started to creep up in price. Like,
oh, absolutely.
The ones...
Baby J spiked up from like, what, $20 to $100 again?
That's the big thing. And so it was supposed to be a new low barrier, low cost format, and then Baby Jace, like you say, or the literal actual Baby Jace, came in and wrecked everything.
As he does.
Aside from that, I mean, Collected Company was really the only deck worth playing, I guess.
Which was true, and it was in Standard too.
And so the format just sort of... It didn't die. I mean, it's still around,
Oh yeah,
I guess,
for sure.
That, and I never liked the format, mostly because Frontier is a stupid name, and it was the same format as the year to 18 months previous. People were trying to get going, but calling it by a much better name, Postmodern.
Mm-hmm. That is a better name.
I prefer, right? It's modern. Postmodern.
It is postmodern.
But I mean, I think give it a couple more sets and it'll come back. I think. I don't know for sure, but I think. Because once... What is it? Battle? Well, when Battle actually rotates, everyone will be so sick of it that they don't want to play it anymore.
Oh, yeah.
But a couple of sets after that, we'll have another try at the revival of Frontier. I think.
Maybe. I mean, I can certainly understand the draw of Modern, like being able to play with some powerful cards for much less than shelling out for a Legacy or a Vintage deck. It is really enticing. I satisfy that urge by playing Cube.
Yeah.
To be honest, because that's, what, $3 of my income as opposed to the several hundred, 2,000s that it would cost to get a Modern deck.
If you're building your own Cube, it's going to cost more than building a Modern deck.
Sure, but
if you
once you have a
somebody
Cube together...
Yeah, then you can play it all the time, and it's not the same deck all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cubes are sweet for that. I would love to play more non-broken Modern. Like, I want to play Kitchen Table.
Right.
I want to play my Infect deck, which is not the Modern Infect deck, you know? Yeah. I want to play, I don't know, Snake Tribal. I want to play
Sweet
Commander
combos
without the broken combos, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about getting into Highlander.
Oh, yeah.
But that has the same problems. Like, any format that gets popular.
They've been tweaked.
Yeah.
The decks. And if you're not running the Tier 1 deck, you're at a disadvantage.
When Alex Stacey of Loading Ready Run finally gets his Zombielander list together, I intend on putting it together and taking it for a spin. Because that is something that appeals to me.
Well,
I love Tribal.
What is Highlander's step?
Okay, so Canadian Highlander...
Which, of course, we're Canadian.
Yeah. Is... arguably the most popular.
I think so. It's the one that I've heard the most of.
I think there's German Highlander.
Look, this is Highlander. There can only be one.
All right. Fair enough. So Canadian Highlander it's like Commander without the Commander. And the play experience, the difference between the two is drastic.
Well, sure. I mean, you don't have a Commander, for one, which is an important part of Commander.
Yeah. So... you can play as many or as few colors as you want.
Okay.
It's a singleton format. It's 100 cards.
Right.
No two of which can be the same except for basic lands.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen any basic land lists using wastes yet, but I'm sure they're out there.
That could be fun. Just put together an Eldrazi deck.
Right?
Yeah.
But the point is to try to put together an interesting experience.
Not just, I win the game, oh look, it's turn 2 right on time?
Yeah, I mean, you can try to build that, but it's going to be much more difficult.
Right, with the 100-card variants.
You tend to play a lot of tutors in the format.
Yeah.
And there's a points list. It's a very simple points list. You can find the pointed cards on the Canadian Highlander Facebook group or website or wherever they keep it. And the points list is updated basically when every new set comes out. And pointed cards are like fast mana. So you can play Moxes in this format if you have them. And they are 2 or 3 points, I think.
Okay.
So you get 10 points for your entire deck.
Right. So you just have to choose where it is you want to put your points.
And actually, you get 10 points per 100 cards, I think. So it's a 100 card deck minimum, but you can build a 200 or 300 card deck.
That sounds sweet.
So you can play, what is it? There's a spell that at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 200 or more cards in your deck, you win.
In your library, I think.
So you can build that deck. I've seen lists for that. It's a 235 card.
And you have a bunch of tutors.
Yeah. And it sounds great, right?
Yeah.
But I haven't put any decks together, but I really want to.
Again, we're slightly limited by the fact that just in our area, it's not a supported format.
Yeah, it's not a popular format here. It's a very popular format out west.
Right.
So, like BC and Alberta.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds sweet. Every time they talk about it on Loading Ready Run, I'm like, I want to build a Highlander deck. Let's do that. I don't know. Do you have any interest?
Yeah, I would play it. I like Commander.
You play any format?
I like one-on-one Commander a lot. I don't love multiplayer as much. I will definitely play any format, but I appreciate the variance that comes with 100 card or more decks. Like,
and
just
the fact that you can't just have 4 of something, right?
Sure. I mean, first of all, it just allows you to be more creative. And in fact, it forces you to be more creative because you have to think of strictly better replacements for things that you would normally just run a 4 of. And,
right.
And it allows you to really explore the interactions between various cards that normally would never see play next to each other, which is true in Commander as well. And that's one of the things I really appreciate about it.
Yeah.
It lets you be creative.
So, Highlander tends to be a more synergy, more synergy, but less combo based format than Commander, which is far more combo based generally.
Can be. We know a couple of deck builders for Commander who love to win with combos.
Yeah. I mean, you can assemble combos in any format that has tutors, but it tends to be just more your deck has a plan and you play to that plan, and whatever cards you happen to have in your hand will get you to that point.
Mm-hmm. I saw them, I think it was Alex, and he put together a tournament for it, and they were just showing off a bunch of different decks and things like that. Seemed fun. Yeah. And then I believe, Steph, you said that you've had very strong feelings about Extended and Block.
Block. So Block constructed. See, part of the reason that I am putting together block cubes is because I love the idea of block constructed.
And what was block constructed?
Block constructed is using only the cards from a specific block.
Mm-hmm. But still has the regular constructed deck building constraints, 4 ofs, 40 or 60 cards, that sort of thing.
Yep. And it's just like Standard, but for a specific block.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that appeals to me so much is that I am a big story flavor guy.
Yes.
So building... Like, I've got a block constructed deck for Battle for Zendikar that is just landfall. Yeah. It's a landfall deck. It's a Teamer landfall deck. And it does exactly what the Teamer landfall deck was designed to do.
And I know Tams has a black-white ally deck that has very similar ideas.
Yep. She has a Mardu Rush deck from the same block from Khan's block. Ravnica has so many... and with things like Ravnica, you could do joint block constructed, where you could do Ravnica block and return to Ravnica block and smash them together. So, like, I would definitely put together an Extort deck.
Oh, yeah.
But I could also see doing a Selesnya Convoke / Populate.
Oh, that would be gross.
It sounds great, right?
Well, and what also sounds great is doing, like, Innistrad, Shadows over Innistrad.
Oh, yeah. Just all of the zombies.
Yeah.
Blue-black zombie tribal. Or vampire tribal.
Oh, yeah.
Man. Yeah. So, block constructed tends to be more about the flavor than anything else. But generally that's because the set pushes you to experience the flavor.
Especially, like, some more than others, for sure.
The mechanics facilitate the flavor.
Yeah.
I would love to do a Scars of Mirrodin, Mirren versus Phyrexian block challenge.
Sure.
Or I have heard people do Cons versus Dragons.
That seems pretty sweet.
Block constructed decks.
Yep.
And just... I've
heard dragons win every time.
Well, I've heard that. I don't know how true it is. Especially if you board in your 4 Crux of Fates from the board.
Yeah, no need to do that.
Anyway, I guess block constructed is where I would get the experience of kitchen table that I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So I should try to ask Sean, the shop owner, to arrange a block night sometime.
Maybe. I mean, the problem though is
party.
You're terrible. The problem is just that because it's not actually a supported format anymore, and so not most people wouldn't have a deck.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, then I'll just have to have a block party.
I guess you'll have to bring your own decks, yeah.
Yeah. So, if we're talking about old or discontinued formats, we should also talk briefly about tiny leaders.
Yeah. Poor tiny leaders.
Poor tiny leaders. So, tiny leaders was a sweet thought of a format.
Yeah.
It was a 50-card commander variant.
Yeah, basically take commander and have everything of it.
Yeah, and your commander could only be 3 mana or less.
Yeah.
So, oh man, that's where I'm going to put together the Isamaru deck, is in Tiny Leader.
Okay.
Yes.
Why?
I got there.
Why?
Right. The problem was that with those constraints, the card pool was so small that it got solved real fast.
Yeah, everybody... There was a deck.
There was a deck, and then there were 2 other... They're okay if someone isn't playing the deck, right?
And at that point, it's just a gentleman's agreement to, okay, nobody runs the deck.
Yeah.
And then really...
And I mean, they could try making bans, and then there would be another deck that solved the whole thing. And it's a shame because, like, there were some awesome decks there just to have fun with.
Again, you could definitely go all in on flavor.
Yeah.
As well.
So, I'm going to probably put together an Isamaru Tiny Leaders list just to have a look at it.
Isamaru is the true Tiny Leader.
Yeah. A 1-mana 2/2. Booyah. Anyway, I can't think of any other ridiculous formats.
Yeah, unfortunately there's not that... I mean, there's always going to be, like, regional variants and various rules for kitchen table and stuff like that. And there's, extended and things where just either they didn't last.
Yeah.
Or they never really got off the ground.
So the formats that have lasted are Vintage, Legacy, Modern, Standard.
Yeah, I mean, Vintage, though, is, like, less and less supported these days.
Yeah.
And,
Legacy, their big thing.
Well, even Legacy, the coverage is certainly less than it once was. So it's nice that you can play online, but they also don't have all the cards online.
That's true.
Like, it's hard for Wizards to program in some of the, like, conspiracy cards and things like that, which are legal in Legacy, and then the paper meta is much different than the online meta. And
yeah. I mean, Commander is sort of, well, it's a, what do you call it, eternal format, because you can play with anything, right?
Yeah.
And
it's non-rotating, sure.
Highlander is the same way.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think Wizards officially supports Highlander. Commander is their kind of...
quasi-officially supported side format. Yeah.
The other thing is that Highlander is specifically 1v1. It's not multiplayer.
Right.
And Commander is Wizards' official multiplayer format.
Yeah, like, there's definitely rules and commanders that are banned for 1v1, and specific cards that are banned if you're just playing 1v1. Not that honestly anyone I've ever heard of actually bothers. Usually you just have a commander deck and it's legal for multiplayer, and you can just play that 1v1 and no one really cares.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I understand why Prime Time is banned, but it makes me sad.
He's such a good card.
That's why he's banned.
Such a good card.
Anything with fast mana is banned, except Soul Ring.
You have to get up to 6 first.
We played a game of Commander before we podcasted. On what turn did you have 6 mana?
Turn 3?
The answer is turn 3. In fact, I think you had 8 mana on turn 3.
I did get off to... I mean, I had nothing I could do with the mana. But I did have a lot of mana. I was playing the Brea deck, and I had the artifact that gives you mana on your first main.
And I was playing Group Hug in a 1v1 game, and that was a bad idea.
It didn't end too well for you. I thanked you very much for the cards, and then I won the game with Amonkhet Tyrant.
Yeah. Yeah, you really did.
It was sweet. Thank you for giving me the trading post at the end of turn so I could flash in enough artifacts to win the game right before my upkeep.
So I'm going to have a hard look at the partner commanders for that deck and see if there's a combination that could be good for 1v1, but I think just most of the deck is built for multiplayer.
Which is fine. I mean, the decks are all designed to play against each other in a multiplayer format and to make sure everyone has at least a chance of having a good experience. But yeah, 1v1, there are definitely some that are better than others.
Atraxa versus Brea, I think, is the most fair matchup.
Oh, it's so annoying. I kill all your stuff and you bring it back 3 times in a game? Ugh. I tell you, it was gross.
Want to go play Commander?
Not against you.
Okay. Well, we're coming up on an hour, or we're just past an hour, so unless there's anything else...
Nope. Like we said, looking forward to pre-release next weekend. We're going to talk a little bit more about that next week, in case you have never been to one before.
Yeah, you should definitely go.
Oh yeah, it's great. A lot of stores will let you pre-register, so you make sure that you have a spot reserved.
Yep.
Some of them are doing midnight pre-releases. If you are super hardcore, I am not.
I have been to a midnight pre-release, and it was awesome, except for the store that I pre-released at didn't do any of the special supported stuff for the pre-release because they wanted to save that for the Saturday morning.
Plus, weren't you in a locked basement?
Not locked.
Ah.
But I mean, their play space is in a basement.
Yes.
That's why I kind of don't go there anymore.
Yes.
I don't prefer the light of day. I guess I prefer it not to be 70 billion degrees in the middle of winter.
Fair.
Yeah. Anyway,
we will talk to you next week. Hopefully Tams will be feeling better by then and can join us for most of the episode.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.